it finally loaded. Al-Sufian. Share the screen so we can get into some momentum. They thought they can kill the truth. The truth never dies. And this is such an honor to be a part of such a great honor. As we're going to read a Sufa. We're going to start this off with a Sufa. Sufa 105. Starting with number 9. Number 10 is the point. Number 9. As a man cannot claim to be the owner of the wisdom of Allah. It's the point. The highest form of right a man may be given thus the most respect and highest authority in Al-Sufian is the teacher, not the merchant, nor the king. Blessed are the teachers who honor these words and the law of Al-Sufian. Beautiful opening. Beautiful opening. This is a divine gift that we have been shut in the closet from. In the name of evil. The evildoers did not want us to know these simple understandings. And see, all our divine creed is in our divine deed. Yep. We are entrusted as Muslims, one of the greatest honors of all honors. Faith in the way is simple. It is the belief. It's only one belief above all others. That there's only one deity. And his Sufian name is Allah. This is why we must understand ancient truth versus modern lies. We've been told many things by the evil writers. And one of those things by the evil writer is that God has no name. And then another from the evil writers is the false name. So we're talking about the truth here And when you speak, you must speak truth. So we must be talking about the true name of God. And this will all make sense. And especially in the Western Hemisphere. If we have heard God, but have we heard of the true name of God? And this is where we have to come to the belief. See, those who do not believe the same does not have the same name. Uh-oh. We're talking about unity consciousness. How can you have a unity consciousness if there's 365 gods for each day?
Yeah.
So this is where the story was. That was once upon a time in a sanctified place. 360 gods that had to be tore down because the people was going astray.
Yeah.
We had fell from the ways of the Al-Sufian and had picked up the strange ways of the evildoers. Those who go astray. Those who were kicked out of the holy city. Those who chose not to honor the true and living name of the one deity. So when we say divine, this is where we get the word divine from, the word deity. Man, it's a long history to this mystery. Without us knowing the Al-Sufian, do we know that anybody was able to play games on us at any time they wanted?
That's right.
Because these are the true and living laws provided to all humanity, for all and every living being to be in oneness. But these group of, as we know as the Umayyad, the modern day Umayyads, the merchants, the sorcerers, and the magi. Oh yes, it's all in their merchandise. The merchants. They have been abusing us. And how was we abused? Through false education.
Yeah.
And by giving us a false education, they was able to abuse our use. And they became the use of abuse. Now there's a long story that backs this whole happening, which is called the devil. And so people of old times that didn't like the Al-Sufian decided to conjure up a way that would take the people and make them go astray. And this had to be thoughtfully done. So a series of actions by these criminals had to start beginning. So they started committing the crime of forgery and fraudulently acts. And one of those first fraudulently acts and frauds that was perpetrated on the people is the tampering of holy texts, which is a graveyard violation of a crime. You don't destroy any holy text of any peoples. And so we have on the record the great book burning. And this is an attestment of a violation of divine law. And any violator of divine law becomes a criminal. And any criminal is under the auspice of the crime. And the crime that has been committed is sacrilegious. Sacrilegious. This is an act of taking something sacred and holy and turning it into evil, and then feeding the people for mass consumption. So a lot of these texts have been inserted with false claims that never existed and only existed by way of a false concept. So this false concept led us away, and it led them to. It led us away from our inheritance given to us by our divine creator. And it led them to false claim of inheritance, saying they are the valid bloodline of the divine creator. And that's like saying the white rabbit is the divine bloodline of all rabbits.
Yeah. Yeah.
We must understand everything in nature comes out of darkness. And this was the false claim that has been perpetrated throughout all of humanity to make darkness become evil. So if you fall under the name of the title of the false title of so-called black, this is saying that you are a certain complexion. And they saying that this complexion in their false text, if you agree with this complexion, that it's associated with evil. And in their false text, evil can die. So we have to understand the game that has been played with belief. We're going to split it up in spurts so we can all have the grand understanding. So we're doing some recorrecting with literature, where there's been false documentation and there's been false claims, and which is false evidence. We are overturning the verdict. We are reverting to our self-awareness. We must understand truth versus falsehood. And that if we believe and do such as what we believe, that we are classified. And you're not classified under the name of the divine creator. So all your acts are being documented under the way opposite of the divine creator. So as a child is supposed to be led to grow into the way of the divine creator, we are growing away by way of concepts. So we have to understand that we have texts that pre-existed modern texts of today, such as the Bible. When we are talking about books, we have to be very careful when we are talking about books and not holy scriptures. So we gonna take an Asiatic view of holy scriptures and begin to understand that the way being existing before the Western have received the Al-Sufian. These are why countries have powers, because of their governmental structure. So we have to understand the divine creator, the great God Allah, has provided us with a equitable structure supported by divine law and enacted by natural law, where there's no paperwork needed, no word documentation needed, only your self-awareness and your mind and your vocal and your action. And this is how we're going to be able to change the game once we get these words refiltered back into our minds and the power that these words contain versus the powers that we have as words, and they don't contain any power to get you any justice, to get you in a higher seat of authority, to get you in a better position in life. Words is our navigational points. So the more power of the words, the more in tune your reality would become. So we got to take a step back into BC times, into an ancient truth written before we was born, before evil was just a mass as it is today, and when things were more gentle instead of more eerie and cruel. So we're going to take over back to the Tao Ching, and we're going to keep bringing our history in so we can have these points. We got to hammer it home while we got the time. As we open up our Tao Ching, which is the Chinese way of saying the way, we begin at instruction in degree of 58. And that's peace and wisdom.
Right.
Living with change. When the government's dull and confused, the people are playful. When the government's sharp and keen, the people are discontented. Alas, mystery lies under happiness, and happiness sits on misery. Alas, who knows where it will end? Nothing is certain. The normal changes in the monstrous, the fortunate into the unfortunate, and our bewilderment goes on and on. And so the wise shape without cutting, square without sign, true without forcing. They are the light that does not shine.
Living with change. Look at all this light that's just been shining. This new thing coming out. This new thing coming out. And where's liberation?
Yeah.
Where is self-knowledge? They want us to accept their beliefs, and their beliefs don't go along with the way. It's a beautiful line that was read at the very end of the first paragraph. It says, nothing is certain.
We can bear witness to that.
And in our Sufian, we have a almost direct word for word. As the Chinese say nothing is certain, the Al-Sufian says nothing is absolute. So that means we need to really pay attention to something called nothing. If nothing is certain, that's telling us a lot. They done set up a 7-day, 365-day work schedule for you.
Yep.
Your next year already planned out.
Yep.
And if we're talking about nothing is certain, is it guaranteed that you're going to wake up tomorrow? Is it guaranteed any of your loved ones going to be here tomorrow? We must understand this divine teaching. This is where wisdom, as it says, the wise soul. And we're talking about the wise mind. You see, this is the light that does not shine. We have been shining the flesh, decorating it with jewelry, decorating the flesh with cars,
Yep.
decorating it with accolades, trophies. But that's a light that you can see shining. It's telling us we have something so granted within us that it's so strong of a light that it does not even have to shine. Do we know how the magnitude of that mass? See, and this is what the devil didn't want us to begin to know. And so evil men created the word called Satan. And this is where all the trouble begins. This creation of a concept called Satan. We never knew where this word came from until we have the truth. And the truth would tell us where this word came from. And we'll find out that this word came from a group of men. That actually named their city after Satan, as Satan. So there's recorded history before we were born that there was a place on earth called Satan. Now this is before we was born and before they changed the records. Because then we would have known so easily that Satan did not exist. Now, where was this place called Satan? How about it was called Southern Italy? Southern Italy was the place where the new city was called Satan, Earth, the city of Satan. So we know who come out of Italy, and we were discussing in our last study about the war in heaven. All this continues. And that Italy or Rome, let's put that together. Italy, same word, Rome, was the city where Satan was the first city called Satan. And that city of Rome in Italy is in Europe today, Southern Europe. So when we are talking about the war in heaven, and that the Al-Sufian, the origin and how everything came to play and came to be. This is how the war in heaven began, which confused the whole humanity. As you know it, as you may heard it, they built a tower called Babel. And from there, the language was confused. Because these people called the Sataners, or the Satanists today, their overall intention was to seek out and destroy, and they swore to heaven to destroy any place in all culture that contains knowledge and science. And this is why we have the mess that we have today, looking from a dualistic view. Yes, this comes with a long drawn out. The whole his story is his story warring on the Al-Sufian, modern day called Islam. So a lot of things occurred during these times. So we want to understand that the men of the city of Satan, this is who we know today as the modern day Umayyad, the military of the Romans. The whole military, I hope we know, are Romans. The whole academic or scholarship or congressman, that is Greco or Greek, Greco-Roman. The evil people of Greek and the evil people of Roman made one empire. They came together as one called the Greco-Roman Empire, which we have today as the Vatican. So these things transpire out of Europe. And the Great War was in Europe because the great manifestation of the Al-Sufian was originated in Europe. And so this is the modern day name for an ancient name. So Europe is a modern name for an ancient name. The ancient name of Europe is Arabia. So the war that was in Europe was the war that was in Arabia. The 700-year war of Torres or Taurus or the Torah. They was warring over the Torah, which gave all men and women independent sovereignty by the divine creator himself. You didn't need a state. You didn't need a county. You didn't need a local. You didn't need a federal. This is back in the day, in ancient times. So after these wars and the demolition occurred, that is what we are born into. After the 2,000-year war. This war has been going on for over 2,000 years, and we still are born in it today. It's just a silent war. But now it's getting to become loud, because what's done in the dark shall come in the light. But we got to know who is behind and who is all of this, who is playing this, these roles, these characters. See, so this is where you have the division of family. It comes from the Satanists. He put in the text that Jesus said that your brother should be against your brother, your son should be against your father, the mother against the daughter, and two shall be against three, and three shall be against two, and where three and two at, there should not be whole. See, all this comes from the Satanist agenda. Now, that was a Roman archetype. Roman, it says, Roman brother against Roman brother. Roman son against Roman father. Roman mother against Roman child, till Roman was all in turmoil. See, one by one, the superstitions. So all these things that we carry in our minds that we have not validated to see, is it superstitious or is it a lie? This is called Romanism or Satanism. It's giving us a false concept about self-identity. And this is used by false magic that always the Romans used. So this is what Satan used today. Sped up, he don't call it Satanism to keep it away. He called it wisdom magic. He take the wisdom out of the holy scriptures and pervert it by magic. So he goes into interpreting holy scriptures and therefore perverting it, and therefore now have the world perverting the name of our divine creator. The great God, Allah. See, we have to understand as we continue to read now, Dalchin. This is why nothing is certain. See, if everything was predestined, then we could never understand what happened. Because this supposed to be after 2,000 years, and all of the literature burned, all of the relics, edifices, monuments, megaliths, all in museums, everything's supposed to be hidden. And if you can't get there, you don't know about it. That these people called Africans existed back then. This is African is not a new concept that just came up in the 1900s. The word African or Africa been around since the 8th century, the 7th century. And these was the people who brought war into Arabia. They seek to corrupt the wisdom of the people of Arabia. This is why you will find some people with your last name that look totally opposite of you. These are the footsteps back into what happened. Why our people don't remember? Why is there's a big memory loss? Like there's a chunk missing out of our history, of our self-identity. It's been completely erased for like 2,000 years. We have no memory in this gap of 2,000 years. We only know what we've been told. And we've been told that we black, Negro, and color, and African. You see the catch? Never telling you yet you are the Morabbas. And that your land was called Arabia. And the people on the land of Arabia was called the Morabba. And this is where you get all your stories of the Moorish stories coming to Spain. The European is the ones who dirtied up the name Moor and corrupted it from its ancient name of Al-Murabba into, you Europeanize it into Moor. And this was the land and the birthplace of the dirty Moors. The dirty Moors of Europe, of Italy, of Rome, the city of Satan. And this is after Constantine. Constantine represented a holy order. After Constantine, it came into a Roman order. So these are things we want to understand, because the story of Rome has been hidden from our eyes. And this is where the concept of Satan was born and stuck into the Bible, as Satan was part of this holy matrimony. As you, let's see, do I got, this is how it slides into the Bible. See, the book of Job is not the book of Job. Now, this is where you will have your first encounter of the word God and Satan. Okay, getting somewhere. Okay, here we come. Job 1 and 6 and 7, we get straight to it. And there was a day when the sons of the gods came together before the Lord, and the Satan came with them. And God said to Satan, where did you come from? That's verse 7. If we remember that, that comes out of the book of Job. And that is the first encounter where God and Satan are talking. But we must understand that's where the false claims was inserted. And their false magic was to become, to get us in a duality in our perspectives. So God had an adversary called Satan, and that Satan was kicked out of heaven. But see, we're not talking about in heaven, we're talking about in Europe. A group of people was kicked out of Europe for Satanist behavior. Europe was a holy place for holy grounds, holy lands, holy teachings, holy actions, worship of the one deity. This became a problem because this was spread all across the entire world. Well, all of the entire world would be liberated and free. So these men of the city of Satan said, oh no. So they devised a religion, a false religion that do just the opposite, enslave everybody. And this is what we have to be mindful. This is why we bringing this out. And God said to Satan, where did you come from? Question mark. And the Satan said in answer, from wandering this way and that on the earth and walking about on the earth. See, and this is where we have the duality. Now, we're going to pause right there and get back to the way, and we're going to keep building from those points. And so those are the Magi's tricks right there. See, none of this existed in the BC. We ain't read a word about God or Satan yet. It didn't exist in the Far East, just as it didn't exist in Arabia. So we're going to keep reading on degree 59.
I'd just like to point one thing out before we go to 59. Learning, sitting here hearing that it was a city called Satan, and it was called Italy. And it's a strange thing that all churches today, no matter what denomination you may call it or whatever name is on the church, it is being run by the Vatican. And they use statutes and codes. And one of the codes they call the Christian code that everybody is operate out of and under right today. And that's why the churches, all churches, they don't have to pay no taxes. What a coincidence. And everywhere else you get taxed to death. But I want to just point that out because this is what's going on as we speak and as those who's out there on the internet land are listening. This the trap that's been set. So we got to re-examine ourselves because the way we going is the wrong way. There's a right way and a wrong way. And this way we going is the wrong way. And I just want to point that out.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm. Tax. That's the sign of Roman invasion.
Roman invasion. They don't own no land. The divine creator created the land, but somehow, some way, he got you paying taxes to be on the land. My.
And that's what I hope is getting across, that the way he's doing it is through false scriptures.
Yep. That's correct.
So that's giving him false authority.
Mm-hmm.
He never had authority. Evil never have authority.
That's right.
Non-divinity never has authority.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that lacks color, lacks blackness, lacks that niggery, is not indigenous.
That's right.
Everything that's come from indigenous comes from the darkness.
That's right.
So we have to understand what came first, night or light.
Right. Right.
And then you'll understand what came first, black or white. These are the things what we talking about, the way. This all connects. And I'm going to bring a even greater point to what we doing as we conclude with our readings. So we keep being on the way.
And there's a documented that you read earlier, I don't think to the internet people, but you discussing it with me. I forgot the date and the year, but it was back centuries ago that they had a plan to really root out and kill all the indigenous people.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
We got document on this here.
Mm-hmm.
They said
Mm-hmm.
what their plan was. You hit fast forward today, you see the same recipe, the same idealism. The majority of the indigenous peoples are either murdered or locked up in jail. By who? The liars, the thieves, the robbers, the congressional, them boys. '59. Stand, the topic, stand on the way. In looking after your life and following the way, gather spirit early, and so redouble power, and so become invulnerable. Invulnerable, unlimited. You can do what you like with material things, but only if you hold to the mother of things. Will you do it for long? Have deep roots, a strong trunk. Live long by looking long. Says if in looking after your life and following your way, the right way. I mean, let's just say for an example, is anybody really looking out for your life? It can't be, because all you have is turmoil, frustration, tax to death. That's not in your best interest. Just think on that. You've been to school, learned the golden rule, and you still look what's going on in your life. And would you believe that the people on Capitol Hill has so much to do with all this misery that we have to go? They are constantly going to the drawing board, drawing up legislature, and when they get through rather dazzle with it, they call it a bill, and then they pass it. And boom! And now they got what they call Project 2025. And that come under the Heritage Foundation. Think about that. Heritage Foundation. See, you have a heritage, they have one. They're talking about theirs because they the one came up with it. And now you are subjugated to that. traps are being set. And if you don't wake up and be conscious of it, you're going to be in a world of trouble. And I mean a world of trouble. Just because you have money in the bank and you can run here and run there, don't you pay that no mind. It's just a matter of time. Because your freedom is slowly being taken away. Ain't for one way, and that's the right way. And the way that they have is the wrong way. You don't want to travel that way. We know for a fact that the schools, universities, AI, you name it. And look what a mess we have. How could that be? Evil leaders, evil doers. You named it out who's doing it, but I don't think they're aware of what's going on. So we better be careful who we join forces with and who we become part of. I don't want no parts of it anymore. But once upon a time, I had joined forces with the evildoers, but not anymore now. It's time to get it right.
And because I know this stuff is heavy, and and especially for the young, because it's a lot to learn.
It is.
And a lot of people don't know how this universe even works to begin to teach the youth. And this is why it's such a this is why the opening of the K.O.S. Al-Sufian Academy will be opening on the Al-Sufian Day, just so the poor can be educated. Because my biggest thing is to overturn your ignorance, is to use education. And you can't become better in mind with a lesser educated mind.
That's right.
So the only remedy that I see is truthful education. And that's the only way that the youth will be able to save themselves, and anybody who have the knowledge can save themselves. Because it's been an overall whole agenda to wipe out, to brainwash the people.
That's right.
To wipe out any remaining knowledge and science.
Mm-hmm.
So now AI and everything else will be dictating the whole circumstance of life instead of self in relation with the divine creator. So there's a lot of things come with this world, with this world view of this society, by letting this prosper and go further, instead of stopping it in its tracks by a superior education. No more singing hymns ain't gonna do it.
That's right. Mine. I mean,
ain't no more praying gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
We must have an educated mind.
Mm-hmm.
An educated mind of how things really work, how the universe works, how nature works, and how divine law works. And this will be able to give every believer a steady and a stable foundation. Because you need to know in history what has went wrong in history that is causing this turmoil, especially if you're young as myself. You need to know and you want answers. How did the Bible come into existence? Why are people believing something all these years and they don't even know who made it? They don't even know its origin. They don't know where it come from. So this is the problem that we've been facing, is that the Bible is not the word of God. And so these things has been false claims, and it has not proven itself to be that. So by itself not proven, it's null and void. When we understand that there's been a plot and a twist by a group of individuals that are dedicated in their plot and plan and still live to this day by way and through their offspring, that they have pushed a whole negative narrative that have condensed humanity into believing they was born in sin. This is the guilt trip of false religion created by false texts believed to be scriptures. These are not scriptures. These are grimoires, or these are books of spells. And though you mix truth with falsehood, that doesn't make it 100% true. So this is what we have to dig out. And hopefully, if you listen very well, you won't have to dig as long as I had to dig. Because once we all find out, we're supposed to all get paid the same penny. So it don't matter. Our Creator is one, and He's going to give how He pleases. That's just how it always been and how it will always ever be. We have been given a false concept and false concepts that has led us to almost complete self-destruction.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, from father to mother to child, there is a complete destruction currently and a great deal ahead if we don't stop in our tracks by getting right education. Because this Satan spell is real, as the people who believe that Satan exists. Now I say, in my own words, it's my opinion, after voluminous amounts of study, from the ancient to the modern, that there is no devil. This is what the war in heaven was, to create a devil. So now you will believe God created evil. And now the opposite of you have God is called devil. And we know opposites are equal. Cold water is just as equal as hot water. So if you saying that the opposite of God is the devil, now this creates a duality. Now it looks like evil's supposed to be in this world because God created evil. They even got a blasphemous statement in the scripture that I create evil. Let's see, can we find it? See, they put false words in these prophets' mouth, so you have to read it with a butter knife. they have messed us up, and to the point where they use the word darkness.
While you looking for that, I like to say this pertaining to the Bible, which it came on the same, the King James version, and most of everybody walk carry the King James, and even when they sworn the president in, they got the King James. A soul searching because they just gone by what was given and what's been read from that book, but they don't know who it is and where it came from. All they know is they got the book and it said holy and they investigate no more. Well, they got what they call holy rollers. And do you know they used to do this in the churches? That they used to get wrapped up in the sheets of the church. Yeah, they call it holy roller. Oh yeah, there's a lot been going on that people don't know about it.
Yeah, that church. I'm telling you.
And I'd like to say one more other thing before I close. If the and the president, all the presidents are sworn in on it, why they lying, steal, and kill? And it's supposed to be the good book. Because that's all you have and that's all you see right there. I'm asking the question, why do they lie, steal, rob, and kill, and practice imperialism? Same one sworn in. They take an oath. Think on that, and I'll leave that with you. You find it.
Yep, I'm finding it on the screen so people can see it.
Yeah, right on.
Okay, it's Isaiah 45 and 7.
Oh, I done read that.
And I'll start on 6. So that they may see from the east and from the west that there is no God but me. I am the Lord, and there is no other. See, the true name is never given. They always, and then the King James will say, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. So it's what to keep.
That's right. On TV, it was a good thing, how they done killed Ben Laden. I mean, they get on TV and use their news media and boast about killing people, just like they did Saddam Hussein, who hadn't done a thing. I mean, the list goes on. And we done heard this here. And they get on the news media and they brag about who they done killed, as though they don't deserve to die. But they protected by Secret Service men who help. I mean, they even got so many programs they got what they call Secret Service, that people who help carry out evil and protect the evildoers. How about that? Go ahead, son.
Yo, that's all true. That's all true.
Yeah, they know it. Everybody who can read and write, though. They boast about it.
Yeah. And it's something to understand about these Satanists is that they claim the divine creator. This is in they claim in their books.
Yeah.
They claim the divine creator has abandoned the earth. Remember, in their story, Satan was kicked out of heaven.
Mm-hmm.
They're using that same storyline to say God abandoned the earth, that he's nowhere have earth in mind, that he's somewhere out there. See, and it's always been a implant, a a psychology to implant the Nexus virus for it to replicate and self-replicate upon itself through misidentification. Therefore, like a boa constrictor constricts his enemy, your free will is now constricted.
That's right.
That is what Satan wants to do,
That's right.
is to be a boa constrictor over your free will. So the number 10 says, the Satanists claim the divine creator has abandoned the earth. And they submit to the demon called Sabbat. Sabio, you may know him as Shabbat, Sabio, Sabbat, Sabbath.
Like the Sabbath day?
Yes. This is a day that you worship Satan.
Look at it.
And they'll tell us that this day is the most holy day. Let me bring it up.
That's right. That's what they said.
This is what I mean by this is the unlearning of what Satan has done to the people by creating this fake, this false religion. Getting everybody to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Then he can really have to reign complete control. We know God rested, and that's the telltale sign. Been duping all of humanity by taking this book everywhere across the lands, claiming it to be from Jesus.
That's what they said.
Now, there's some teachings of Jesus in here, but it's not a book from Jesus.
That's right. That's from James.
Right. That's way after Esau came into existence. Let's find it. I just came into it. Genesis, we in. Yeah, we gotta make the Genesis 2nd. We gotta make the Sabbath day.
That's what it said. That's in the book of Genesis. Do no work.
Yep, do no work. Stuff like that phrase. This is what we mean.
Yeah.
They got, you won't do nothing on this holy day. Let's see what verse is that. Exodus 28 and 11. Long drawn out boring process I had to go through to get through all of this.
I know.
Exodus 20, we're coming to Exodus 20.
those Satan just don't listen. They look and search because the ones who's talking to you could be full of evil.
Yeah. Now we know, I'm telling you, they're full of evil. He's just sitting there using words. All right. We'll start. It's out of one of the commandments. They made it into one of the 10 commandments.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Now that's a thought for us. Number 7, you are not to make use of the name of the Lord your God for an evil purpose. This is why you won't find the name of the true name of the divine creator, his Sufian name, Allah, in the Holy Bible.
That's right.
Because they know not to misuse his name.
Yep.
But they finna play with the use of the attributes of the name for an evil purpose. Whoever takes the Lord's name on his lips for an evil purpose will be judged a sinner by the Lord. Keep in memory the Sabbath and let it be a holy day.
Listen at that.
10, but the 7th day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. See, and that's where that come in with the reference of the black Christian codes.
Yep.
There's a portion in there that on Sundays that no one works. And the black Christian codes is upheld by the Vatican or the Rome.
That's correct.
So we bring into attestation that the black Christian codes is still the laws of the church today.
That's right.
Remember, they say the independence was 1776. The Christian black codes existed 1724.
Oh, look at that. How about that? How about that?
The Christian black codes was a set of laws that restricted the rights and freedoms of emancipated blacks
Listen at that.
in the South after the Civil War. Look how evil that is.
1924. Is that it?
The codes require blacks to be in service of a white person.
I'm glad you put that on the screen where they can see it and read it for themselves.
Because this how everything got stolen. See, because they stole these Christian codes from older sources. See, and this is how they created the word Satan. See, when they hated all black people had a sacred name, but they didn't never want us to know our sacred name, so they had to demonize it so we will almost never ever look that way. You make good appear evil, and they'll never go after good. So that's what they did with Satan. They made Satan appear evil when Satan in the book is the people of Italy, the people of Rome. And this is how the King James Version came. This is how the Catholic version, the Vulgate version.
Look at that.
I mean, you got many thousands of denominations we read.
Right on. Ain't that a shame? Now, if anybody heard that and you don't put it on the screen for them to read, they should depart from all that right now.
That's why we have the saying, the Marabbas, which was the best wordage we had was Moorish Americans. The correct verbiage of it is Al-Marab Al-Sufian or Al-Marab Al-Sufian. We are returning the church and Christianity back to the European nation.
Right on.
as it was prepared by their forefathers for
Right on.
their earthly salvation.
Right on. Right on.
See that we returning to the Al-Sufian, which has been called Islam in a modern tongue. But we taking everything back to its ancient root. So in its ancient tongue, it was called Al-Sufian. And the people that was of the Al-Sufian was the Al-Murabas, the people of Arabia, or the people of Europe. So this is where everything begins as a seed is planted in the soil. The holy land of the Maraba people, who is known as the Moors in modern name, that's being deleted into the ancient name Al-Maraba, which never changed. This is a name of the Sufiyan Allah. So we have to understand how everything came to be.
And I want to point one quick thing out. After you said that, and we so brainwashed today that when we hear the word Europe, one thing come to mind: white folks. And I'm glad you just pointed that out. The true Europe.
Right.
The false Europe is the so-called white folks.
Right. This is how our names. This is how we came to America. America and Europe is like brothers and sisters. So one is the origin and one is the Trinity. Yeah. So it's just like the creator and then what they say, the father, mother, and the child.
Yeah.
That's where you got the three Americas.
Yeah.
And so from that, you have its origin, where the origin is the descendants, where Abraham was from and all his descendants. And they built the holy city. In ancient times, we didn't call ourselves black.
That's right.
All these are modern terms to get us to fall under their rulership of religion. Our holy name for black was Bakar. That's why our holy city was called Al-Bakar, the city of the blacks. But we didn't call ourselves blacks. It was Bakar. It means holy, resting, divine. And so when we are understanding, this is where you get the large concentration of black folks having European last names, surnames. Your European last name is not a European's name. It comes from, you are from the origin of Abraham that was born in Europe. Ancient name Arabia. An ancient name Ubera. Europe was Ubera. So we have to understand this is what they did not like. So the Satanists seek out to create a war in heaven, which was in Al-Bakar, the land of the blacks, attacking all indigenous people in their what? Beliefs. So they made a religious system falsely created, and it's a belief system that imitates the Al-Sufian, but in the name of evil and not your complete rights. So they turned the word Sufian to the word Satan.
Look at it.
And this is why we have this adversary come in called Satan. If you follow the Greeks, when I referred earlier to the scholarship portion, goes to the Greek. The conquering portion goes to the Roman. So when they need scholarship, they bring their Greek scholars who Romanize anything that's divine. And so these people created the names that is called black, Christianity, church. These things came from understanding what we live by. So they had to create a false religion that had to imitate a belief system similar to ours.
Yep.
So this is how they created Satan. So Satan is like their system, anti-opposite of our Al-Sufian system. In our Al-Sufian system, there is no such thing as a Satan. There are only men who lies, and men that lies is called demons. The D-man, the devolving man, the degrading man, the degenerating man. So now these demons are now playing God due to their false religious texts, giving them a false authority. So they hid the Al-Sufian and reclassified it as Satan, so you will never come back into your full understanding of the Creator. Now, there's a statement in the Al-Sufian that goes just like this to prove what I'm saying. Because most people today, if they do if something bad happened to a believer, they say that it came from who? If something bad or evil happened, they don't say it came from God.
Sure enough.
They say it come from the devil or Satan.
That's right.
See, and this is being Rome's scapegoat, which is themselves. So they found a way to hijack the literature to implant a thought in our mind in hopes that it will be so good that we will believe it to be true.
Yes,
this is why the only power that a demon has is belief. You to believe is true. So they needed for us to believe all this time Christianity was the way of Christ.
that's right.
When it was never the way of Christ. Because Christ didn't call it Christianity.
That's right.
Constantine did. Let me make that clear. Constantine did. And now we have to understand a very, very powerful statement here. This is in the Al-Sufian. So first, we're going to hear this word Muslim. We've been having a misconception due to the false religious text of what a Muslim is. Muslim is made from two words. Musa, just as Jesus said that he did not come to change the law of Moses. So the word Moses or Moshe is the word Musa in our language. So you have Musa, then you have Alim. The word Alim is where you get the word master or the highest intelligence. The master, the teacher, of all intelligence. So when we put this word together, it sounds like Musalim. Musalim are those that are the highest creatures to ever live on the planet. This is beyond the understanding that we know of. Musa had a certain intelligence. He had a certain knowledge. This is what is called the Al-Sufian. They would tell you it's called the Kabbalah. See, this is what they happened when they reversed our knowledge of the Al-Baqar. If you say Al-Baqar in reverse, it turns out to be Kabbalah. And they use this system called Kabbalah as a form of worshiping Satan and given us the names of spirits of Satan. When we supposed to have the names of the divine creator instead of the names of Satan. And this is where you get Solomon's story of why Solomon was deemed the wisest. Solomon is not in the Al-Sufian. That's a made-up story about the jinns. They transform, remember the Greek word for God would be Goetia, which got to do with demons and witchcraft and evil. Has nothing to do with the Arabic word God. See, this is all a whole deepness that has been hijacked.
What a mess.
They told us that the word God comes from German. Well, that was true to the extent until you trace what was Germany. And this is why I had to personally go into the history of Europe to find all of this out. So the German word that they taken over was literally Arabs in Germany. So there was Arabic, or there was Arabs in Germany speaking German. Yes, this is very important. And your remnants of this is that it's a tribe of Israel called the tribe of God or Gad. And that's a whole Arabic, or they would say in their term, Persian Hebrew. They would say Persian Hebrew is the word God, G-A-D, but that word is German Arabic coming out of Arabia. And some of the most Muslim sons that ever existed in the time of Europe was German or German. So this begins a long, long history. It's not, you need to know what particular European nation hates your guts. And it's the Romans. The Romans and the Persians, everybody else, they waiting for you to come, return to your knowledge. And that's Scottish, Irish, German, and as many more, Russia. None of these are enemies. These are sacred grounds that is keeping the enemy away until we wake up.
Yeah.
As the Al-Sufian. This been held back by the France. This is a long history that goes, but we're going to get into the Sufa that gives us clarity of how that Satan don't exist. We have something called the struggle. Now, people call it the jihad, but the jihad is not what we have described it to be. It's not nothing to do with our outside. Yeah. The jihad has to do with the internal battle within.
Not like war of Armageddon.
See, and this is what they had us think it was God and Satan.
Yeah.
See, and it never been God and Satan. So now that was saying that God is Satan, which now will give the Romans the ability to play God.
That's right.
Because God's adversary is Satan. So they give Rome the ability to conquer the world.
Yeah. So
now that we return back to our ancient roots, which is our ancient truth, God is an Arabic word. So if God is an Arabic word, then God's name will be an Arabic name. And when we say Arabic, we're talking about Moorish Arabic. The first language that started all languages. Every language that we have today comes from the beginning of called Marabic. This is what came today as Arabic language. So we have to understand, since all this time has passed, there's a modern version of modern Arabic. Then there's an ancient version of Arabic called Marabic. What we have in the Al-Sufian is the Marabic. We don't have the Persian Hebrew form. And there is a difference. And so it says that the greatest transgression, it says that if a person tells you to kill those who abandon the faith of Al-Sufian, if they tell you this is demanded by Allah, then the gifts given to you by Allah should be enough to see through such evil and false scripture. The greatest transgression above all others is to kill in the name of Allah.
Goodness gracious. Man.
Because that's his divine name.
Yeah.
Nah, the people you do see do that.
If people do that, that's right.
That we call the kamikaze. Those are the Persians. Those are not Muslims. Those are Persians cloaking themselves as Muslims.
Makes sense.
See, it's a big war on our minds. They don't need our minds to grab hold to this truth that I saw was talking about. See, and here it comes. The greatest transgression above all others is to kill in the name of Allah.
My. How many times we heard it?
Right. 20. Happy is the Musalim, for if good befalls him, he praises and thanks Allah. And if misfortune, praises God and bears it patiently. Now, this is why the Musalim was the wisest, just like as Musa was the wisest of his time. Today, in our time, the Musalim is supposed to be the wisest of his time. With the Al-Sufian, it can happen. But with the Quran from the Persians of Mecca, it cannot happen. Because the whole truth not there.
That's right.
Half of the truth is there.
Yeah. That's not good enough.
And that's not good enough. That half truth leads us to being half wise. So now we have a full spectrum. To a Muslim, he prays God if misfortune, and he prays Allah if fortune happens.
Sure does.
Now that's called balance. Ain't no Satan. Most people would have said Satan if something bad happened. See, Allah and God is the same. There is no devil. There's only one deity. And it's true. And true means Sufian. And his Sufian name is Allah. Allah. This is how it goes. You can't make this up. We see what happened when people tried to make this up. It just didn't work out. It didn't fit perfectly. So now the ancient word of why you got this is what has never been told. The reason why you have a dark skin or you have a darker complexion is because of a gift If you have complexion in your skin,
Yeah.
then that is a gift from the divine creator.
Yes, indeed.
The complexion in your skin is not called melanin.
Mm.
This is what the devil called it.
Mm.
So he can keep us away from our birthrights.
Mm.
If it was called melanin, then when we attained the word melanin, we would attain all of our divine birthright. The word melanin is the word Sufian. The reason why you are black or dark as midnight, they will say, is because of a certain gene that Allah gave you. It's called a Al-Sufian. And you will never hear this from a doctor or a geneticist or anybody dealing with genetics. Because this is the secret of the holy bloodline, what they call the holy grail of the same grill. Of the Moorish or the Irish. And we talking about this is the gift given to all of us that came from the black man and the black woman. But it's not for solely the black man and the black woman. It's for all of humanity to receive the same rights as the black man and the black woman, who will become the Al-Sufians that they already was born as. We just didn't never know. This is why they said Satan was black or Satan was dark or in the darkness, because the darkness is what made you a Sufian. The darkness in night, that is called Sufian. The midnight of night, that is called Sufian. Our creator Allah is darker than midnight, blacker than black. That's why we have to understand Sufian, or I should say the word soot. Black as soot. Soot is the word suf. Suf. Soot is the same word as the word suf. And the purity is the color of Sufian. Purity is as dark as midnight. So dark it becomes clear. This is what we haven't known until we had all our revelations returned. So this is what they did not want us to know, but what they did want us to know was the name of Satan.
Yep.
And you should see a semblance in the words Sufian and Satan. Now that I say it that way. Why they both begin with an S? And if you know ancient literature in Moorish Arabic, T, we didn't never begin a word with the letter T. So names like Thoth and Thoth, that's not Moorish, that's not Moravic. See, these people who grew up, who was born in the same land that we was, as it said that you made him called Jacob or Yaqub. This is where everything is coming from, where your birthrights were stolen by who? Esau. That's almost Esau. Esau. See, so they was using all of this to disturb and to make actually all the money they could ever make in the world. They never been this rich before, off of stupidity. But at the same time that they are rich, when we become awake, they become poor. Because all rights return back to its owner. And all rights and property is the owner of the Al-Sufian. And only the great God, Allah, is the Al-Sufian. This is what Al-Mu'id was, who we call Muhammad. Muhammad brought us Al-Mu'id. Al-Mu'id brought us the Al-Sufian. Al-Sufian is where the original Al-Fatiha is and will forever be. We deal with a certain number called 10 plus 1. And if it don't carry that mark, as the Quran of Mecca has a 7-verse opening in the Fatiha, which shows 7 is the number of Satan. This is why Noble Drew Ali broke the circle of the 7, the circle 7. He said he was going to release whose secrets? Roman secrets.
Yep.
And this is the story of Rome, the beginning of Satan creating the false concept in our mind as the adversary of God, allowing evil to roam the earth, to play as God, while stealing our divine Al-Sufian rights to be the stewards of all of the planet Earth and all the living beings. It don't supposed to just go to Peter. It don't just go to the Environment Health Organization. All these 3-letter alphabets govern our estate. This is the Creator's estate, not ours. See, and this is what they knew back in BC as we finna continue reading. We got 13 more minutes. Let's hang in there. Mm-hmm. Staying put. Once we came to this truth right here, stay put at the Al-Sufian. Watch. Staying put. Rule a big country is the way you cook a small fish.
Man.
Remember, they put in their Bible, they are fishers. Uh-oh. Fishers of men. So they use Jesus to hook them in.
Sure did.
To become fishers of men. That's why the jailer like a hook.
Sure did.
And those who get reeled in, they not gonna like the end results.
Sure enough,
If you keep control by following the Al-Sufian, troubled spirits won't act up. They won't lose their immaterial strength, but they won't harm people with it. Nor will wise souls come to harm, and so neither harming the other. These powers will come together in unity. That's what we're talking about. That's why I just brought that Sufa in about Allah and God. These two together is the unity of self. And this is what we gotta settle down on. We gotta let settle within the heart. This anecdotal truth This is the antidote. We can finish off these texts now.
Yeah.
Finish
Yeah,
my
okay.
60. Yep.
Lying low. A quality of greatness runs downhill like a river to the sea, joining with everything. Woman to everything. By stillness, the woman may always dominate the man, lying quiet underneath him. So a great country submitting to small ones dominates them. So small countries submitting to a great one dominate it. Lie low to be on top. Be on top by lying low. Now, when you read that and you hear that, great country submitting to small ones and dominate them, let's look at reality right now. We got the big Russian bear sitting down there in Cuba. In maritime law, right in their backyard in the United States as well. Now explain that. I'm going to just show you the proof is in the pudding, and these are real action, man. This ain't no joke. And nothing the Cuban people can do because they don't have no big ship like the big boys. They don't have the big guns like the big boys. They don't have weapons of mass destruction. And if you notice, all the bad guys, they all have weapons of mass destruction and don't want nobody else to have it. But they can have it. Who give them the rights to have it? So they can bully people and threaten them. It's plain as day. It don't take the rocket science to figure out what they're up to. And they're up to no good.
So beautiful now.
But if we lie low in the hands of the Lord, everything gonna be all right.
That's it. That's it. Number 6, instruction 62. The gift of the way. This is how the gift returns to us.
Okay.
The gift of the Al-Sufian. The way is the hearth and home of the 10,000 things. Talking about the way now. Good souls, treasury.
Right on.
Lost souls find shelter in it. Fine words are for sale. Fine deeds go cheap. Even worthless people can get them. So at the coronation of the Son of Heaven, receiving the Al-Sufian, when the 3 ministers take office, the father, the mother, the son, the child takes office, you might race out in a 4-horse chariot to offer a jade screen. But would not it be better to sit still and let the way be your offer? and let the Al-Sufian be your offering. Question mark. Why was the way honored in the old days? We're talking about in Arabia. Why was the Al-Sufian honored in the old days, the ancient time? Was not it said, seek and you will find it, hide, it will shelter you, so it was honored under heaven. See, it's fit both ways, both powers. Ain't nothing evil. The mystery blown now. That was a concept from the men of the city of Satan. Let's keep continuing. We got 5 minutes.
63. Consider beginning. Do without doing. Act without action. Savor the flavorless. Treat the small as large. The few as many. Meet injury with the power of goodness. Study the hard while it's easy. Do big things while they are small. The hardest jobs in the world start out easy. The great affairs of the world start small. So the wise soul, by never dealing with great things, gets great things done. Now, since taking things too highly makes them worthless, and taking things too easy makes them hard. The wise soul, by treating the easy as hard, doesn't find anything hard.
This is the gift we're being given. Yep, and we'll pause right there. And we got 2 minutes remaining. And so make sure that the listeners and the believers who believe, make sure they subscribe at K.O.S. Al-Sufian Academy. This is where all scholars and students may come to learn this divine truth. And so this oneness can spread across the whole universe. The opening will be on Al-Sufian Day, which is July 14th. July 14th is Al-Sufian Day, the day we received the Al-Sufian, for the freedom in all humanity and the liberation of all humanity. All living beings, and return all creation back to its creator. We close in the holy name, Al-Sufian Allah, Al-Wadu.